Good afternoon. This is knowledge time. Welcome, alchemists. Today I'll be reading from the book The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Currently, I am in chapter 13, Advance with a Sense of Purpose, The Law of Aimlessness, Part 3, Strategies for Developing a High Sense of Purpose. Once you commit yourself to developing or strengthening your sense of purpose, then the hard work begins. You will face many enemies and obstacles impeding your progress. The distracting voices of others who instill doubts about your calling and your uniqueness. Your own boredom and frustrations with the work itself and your slow progress. The lack of trustworthy criticism from people to help you, the levels of anxiety you must manage, and finally, the burnout that often accompanies focused labor over long periods. The following 5 strategies are designed to help you move past these obstacles. They are in a loose order, the first being the essential starting point. You will want to put them all into practice to ensure continual movement forward. Discover your calling in life. You begin this strategy by looking for signs of primal inclinations in your earliest years, when they were often the clearest. Some people can easily remember such early indications, but for many of us it requires some introspection and some digging. What you are looking for is moments in which you were unusually fascinated by a particular subject or certain objects, or specific activities and forms of play. The great 19th and early 20th century scientist Marie Curie could distinctly recall the moment when she was 4 years old and entered her father's office, suddenly mesmerized by the sight of all sorts of tubes and measuring devices for various chemistry experiments placed behind a polished glass case. Her whole life she would feel a similar visceral thrill whenever she entered the laboratory. For Antoine Chekhov, it was attending his first play in a theater as a boy in his small town. The whole atmosphere of make-believe thrilled him. For Steve Jobs, it was passing an electronics store as a child and seeing the wondrous gadgets in the window, marveling at their design and complexity. For Tiger Woods, it was, at the age of 2, watching his father hit golf balls into a net in the garage and being unable to contain his excitement and desire to imitate him. For the writer Jean-Paul Sartre, it was a childhood fascination with printed words on a page and the possible magical meanings each word possessed. These moments of visceral attraction occurred suddenly and without any prodding from parents or friends. It would be hard to put into words why they occurred. They are signs of something beyond our personal control. The actress Ingrid Bergman expressed it best when talking of the fascination she had with performing in front of her father's movie camera at a very early age. I didn't choose acting, it chose me. Sometimes these moments can come when we are older, as when Martin Luther King Jr. realized his mission in life as he got pulled into the Montgomery bus boycott. And sometimes this can occur while observing other people who are masters in their field. As a young man, the future Japanese film director Akira Kurosawa felt particularly aimless. He tried painting, then apprenticed as an assistant director on films, a job he hated. He was ready to quit when he got assigned to work for the director Kijiro Yamamoto in 1936. Watching this great master at work, suddenly his eyes were opened to the magical possibilities of film, and he realized his calling. As he later described this, it was like the wind in the mountain, past blowing across my face. But this, I mean, that wonderfully refreshing wind you feel after a painful hard climb. The breath of that wind tells you are reaching the past. Then you stand in the past and look down over the panorama as it opens up. When I stood behind Yama-san in his director's chair next to the camera, I felt my heart swell with that same feeling. I've made it at last. As another sign, examine moments in your life when certain tasks or activities felt natural and easy to you, similar to swimming with a current. In performing such activities, you have a greater tolerance for the tedium of practicing. People's criticisms don't discourage you so easily. You want to learn. You can contrast this with other subjects or tasks that you find deeply boring and unfulfilling, which frustrate you. Related to this, you will want to figure out the particular form of intelligence that your brain is wired for. In his book, Frames of Mind, the psychologist Howard Gardner lists certain forms of intelligence for which people usually have one particular gift or affinity. This could be mathematics and logic, physical activity, words, images, or music. We could also add to this social intelligence a superior sensitivity to people. When you are engaged in the activity that feels right, it will correspond to that form of intelligence for which your brain is most suited. From these various factors, you should be able to spot the outline of your calling. In essence, I'm going through this process. You are discovering yourself. What makes you different? What predates the opinions of others? You are reacquainting yourself with your natural likes and dislikes. Later in life, we often lose contact with our own preferences for things, deeply influenced by what others are doing and by the culture. You are subtracting such external influences. The deeper you make this connection to your calling, the more you will be able to resist the bad ideals of others. You will engage that internal guidance system. But sometime into the process, working with a journal if necessary, you are developing the habit of assessing and listening to yourself so that you can continually monitor your progress and adjust this calling to the various stages in your life. If you are young and just starting out in your career, you will want to explore a relatively wide field related to your inclinations. For instance, if your affinity in words and writing, try all the different types of writing until you hit upon the right fit. If you are older and have more experience, you will want to take the skills you have already developed and find a way to adapt them more in the direction of your true calling. Remember that the calling could be combining several fields that fascinate you. For jobs, it was the intersection of technology and design. Keep the process open-ended. Your experience will instruct you as to the way. Do not try to bypass the work of discovering your calling or imagine that it will simply come to you naturally. Although it may come to a few people early in life or in a lightning bolt moment, for most of us, it requires continual introspection and effort, experimenting with the skills and options related to your personality and inclinations is not only the single most essential step in developing a high sense of purpose, it is perhaps the most important step in life in general. Knowing in a deep way who you are, your uniqueness, you will make it that much easier to avoid all of the other pitfalls of human nature. Use resistance and negative spurs. The key to success in any field is first developing skills in various areas, which you can later combine in unique and creative ways. But the process of doing so can be tedious and painful as you become aware of your limitations and relative lack of skill. Most people, consciously or unconsciously, seek to avoid tedium, pain, and any form of adversity. They try to put themselves in places where they will face less criticism and minimize their chances of failure. You must choose to move in the opposite direction. You want to embrace negative experiences, limitations, and even pain as the perfect means of building up your skill levels and sharpening your sense of purpose. When it comes to exercise, you understand the importance of manageable levels of pain and discomfort because they later yield strength, stamina, and other positive sensations. The same will come to you by actually embracing the tedium in your practice. Frustration is a sign that you are making progress as your mind becomes aware of higher levels of skill that you have yet to attain. You want to use and embrace any kind of deadline. If you give yourself a year to finish a project or start up a business, you will generally take a year or more. If you give yourself 3 months, you will find it that much sooner, and the concentrated energy with which you work will raise your skill level and make the end result that much better. If necessary, manufacture reasonable tight deadlines to intensify your sense of purpose. Thomas Edison knew he could take far too long to realize his inventions, and so he developed the habit of talking about their future greatness to journalists, overselling his ideas. With publicity, he would now be put in the position of having to make it happen, and relatively soon, or be ridiculed. He would have to rise to the occasion, and he almost always did. The great 18th century Zen master Hakun took this further. He became greatly frustrated by the particular Kohn's paradoxical anecdotes designed to spark enlightenment, presented to him by his master. His lack of progress made him feel desperate, so he told himself in all seriousness, if I fail to master one of those cones in 7 days, I will kill myself. This worked for him and kept on working for him until he attained total enlightenment. As you progress on your path, you will be subject to more and more of people's criticism. Some of them might be constructive and worth paying attention to, but many of them come from envy. You can recognize the later by the person's emotional tone in expressing their negative opinions. They go a little too far, speak with a bit too much vehemence. They make it personal, instilling doubts about your overall ability, emphasizing your personality more than the work. They lack specific details about what and how to improve. Once recognized, the trick is not to internalize these criticisms in any form. Becoming defensive is a sign they have gotten to you. Instead, use their negative opinions to motivate you and add to your sense of purpose. Absorb purposeful energy. We humans are extremely susceptible to the moods and energy of other people. For this reason, you want to avoid too much contact with those who have a low or false sense of purpose. On the other hand, you always want to try to find and associate with those who have a high sense of purpose. This could be the perfect mentor or teacher or partner on a project. Such people will tend to bring out the best in you, and you will find it easier and even refreshing to receive their criticism. This was the strategy that brought Coco Chanel, see Chapter 5, so much power. She began life from a position of great weakness, an orphan with little or no resources in life. She realized in her early 20s that her calling was to design clothes and to start her own apparel line. She desperately needed guidance, however, particularly when it came to the business side. She looked for people who could help her find her way. At the age of 25, she met the perfect target, a wealthy, older English businessman named Arthur Boy Capel. She was attracted to his ambition, his well-rounded experience, his knowledge of the arts, and his ruthless practicality. She latched onto him with great vehemence. He was able to instill in her the confidence that she could become a famous designer. He taught her about business in general. He offered her tough criticisms that she could accept because of her deep respect for him. She helped guide her in her first important decisions in setting up her business. From him, she developed a very honed sense of purpose that she retained her entire life. Without his influence, her path would have been too confusing and difficult. Later in life, she kept returning to this strategy. She found other men and women who had skills she lacked or needed to strengthen. Social graciousness, marketing, a nose for cultural trends, and developed relationships that allowed her to learn from them. In this case, you want to find people who are pragmatic and not merely those who are charismatic or visionaries. You want their practical advice and to absorb their spirit of getting things done, if possible. Collect around you a group of people from different fields as friends or associates who have similar energy. You will help one elevate one another's sense of purpose. Do not settle for virtual associations or mentors. They will not have the same effect. Create a ladder of descending goals. Operating with long-term goals will bring you tremendous clarity and resolve. These goals, a project or business to create, for instance, can be relatively ambitious, enough to bring out the best in you. The problem, however, is that they will also tend to generate anxiety as you look at all you have to do to reach them from the present vantage point. To manage such anxiety, you must create a ladder of smaller goals along the way, reaching down to the present. Such objectives are simpler the further down the ladder you go, and you can realize them in relatively short time frames, giving you moments of satisfaction and a sense of progress. Always break tasks into smaller bites. Each day or week, you must have micro goals. This will help you focus and avoid entanglements or detours that will waste your energy. At the same time, you want to continually remind yourself of the larger goal to avoid losing track of it or getting too mired in details. Periodically, return to your original vision and imagine the immense satisfaction you will have when it comes to fruition. This will give you clarity and inspire you forward. You will also want a degree of flexibility built into the process. At certain moments, you reassess your progress and adjust the various goals as necessary, constantly learning from experience and adapting and improving your original objective. Remember that that what you are after is a series of practical results and accomplishments, not a list of unrealized dreams and aborted projects. Working with smaller, embedded goals will keep you moving in such a direction. Lose yourself in the work. Perhaps the greatest difficulty you will face in maintaining a high and consistent sense of purpose is the level of commitment that is required over time and the sacrifice that go with this. You have to handle many moments of frustration, boredom, and failure, and the endless temptations in our culture for more immediate pleasures. The benefits listed above in the keys are often not immediately apparent. But as the years pile up, you can face burnout. I figured that out last year. To offset this tedium, you need to have moments of flow in which your mind becomes so deeply immersed in the work that you are transported beyond your ego. You experience feelings of profound calmness and joy. The psychologist Abraham Maslow called these peak experiences. Once you have them, you have forever changed. You will feel the compulsion to repeat them. The more immediate pleasures the world offers will pale in comparison. And when you feel rewarded for your dedication and sacrifices, your sense of purpose will be intensified. These experiences cannot be manufactured, but you can set the stage for them and vastly increase your odds. First, it is essential to wait until you are further along in the process, at least more than halfway through a project, or after several years of study in your field. At such moments, your mind will be naturally filled with all kinds of information and practice, ripe for a peak experience. Second, you must plan on giving yourself uninterrupted time with the work, as many hours in the day as possible, and as many days in the week. For this purpose, you have to rigorously eliminate the unusual level of distractions. Excuse me. Even plan on disappearing for a period of time. Think of it as a type of religious retreat. Steve Jobs would close the door to his office, spend the entire day holed up in the room, and wait until he fell into a state of deep focus. Once you become adept at this, you can do it almost anywhere. Einstein would notoriously go into such a deep state of absorption that he would lose himself in the city streets or while sailing on a lake. Third, the emphasis would be on the work. never on yourself or the desire for recognition. You are fusing your mind with the work itself, and any intrusive thoughts from your ego or doubts about yourself or personal obsessions will interrupt the flow. Not only will you find this flow immensely therapeutic, but it will also yield uncannily creative results. For the time period that the actress Ingrid Bergman was engaged in a particular film project, she poured every ounce of her energy into it, forgetting everything else about her life. Unlike other actors, she gave greater importance to the money they earned or the attention they received. Bergman saw only the opportunity to completely embody the role she was to play and bring it to life. For this purpose, she would engage with the writers and the directors involved, actively altering the role itself and some of the dialogue, making it more real. They would trust her in this because her ideas were almost always excellent and were based on deep thinking about the character. Once she had gone far enough in the writing and thinking process, she would go through days or weeks feeling herself fused with the role and not interacting with others. In doing so, she could forget about all the pain in her life, the loss of her parents when she was young, her abusive husband. These were the moments of genuine joy in her life, and she translated such peak experiences to the screen. Audiences could sense something profoundly realistic in her performance, and they identified unusually intensely with the character she played, knowing she would periodically have such experiences, and the results that went with them kept her moving past the pain and sacrifices that she demanded of herself. Look at this as a form of religious devotion to your life's work. Such devotion will eventually yield moments of union with the work itself, and a type of ecstasy that is impossible to verbalize until you have experienced it. Wow, that's what I'm on at the the Academy of Art University. In conclusion, pretty much, what I got from this was strategies for developing a high sense of purpose. The first one was discovering your calling in life. The second was use resistance and negative spurs. What was the third one? The third one's create a ladder of descending goals. The fourth one was lose yourself in the work. Do what you love. Absorb purposeful energy. Pretty much be around people that are like-minded. Create a ladder of descending goals. Pretty much with that, I got pretty much. If you have a goal for this year, I would break them down into months. Even weeks if you can, but break them down into months. Use resistance and negative spurs. With that, pretty much, like if anybody's being negative towards you, flip that energy, take it, and make it productive. Just pretty much use that to grow. That's pretty much what I got for that. And really, what caught my attention, because I'm a filmmaker, was the when it was talking about the actress Ingrid Bergman, how she pretty much. I'm on that style. Like I'm pretty much putting my all into everything, putting my all into making life. Like the money and all that. That's a byproduct. So pretty much I felt that when I read it, how she just went, got involved with writers and directors, and I feel myself, I'm in the same, like, I'm a director, but I'm learning about producing and writing now, so that's why I'm reading, because I took a producing class. Pretty much I was reading script coverage, the whole semester, so that pretty much got me open up to like start reading. So I hated reading and forced myself. I actually got to be in that class. That's why that confidence pretty much spilt over to me reading The Laws of Human Nature. So, everything spills over and you don't even know it. Outro. Subscribe to the channel. Comment any questions you have. Like if the information was inspiring for you. And share this knowledge with other alchemists. Also, follow me on Instagram for more progressive knowledge. My Instagram is max_Bugatti_8008. I'm all about family first. I'm a global stock investor. I'm a filmmaker. I'm an aerospace botanist. I have a masculine confidence building program. And currently, I'm out here in Cali, Colombia, until the 4th of February. So that's Monday. So I'm on countdown mode. Oh man, I'm on count. So tomorrow's the 31st. Friday's the 1st. So Monday I'll be out of here. Damn. Back to the good old US of A, and then I'll be back here end of May, and then I'm gonna shoot oh yeah, that's on my other channel. I was gonna do another horseback riding with my son, pretty much rent the Bugatti type horses, because I think when I went I didn't understand, but I did understand to a point, but my son pretty much I was pretty much used to him just riding the slow horses because he was so small. Now he's ready for the big boy. So shit, no more Honda Civics and Kias and big boy stuff. So he'll be 11. Man, wow. Kids, beautiful process watching things grow. So family, business, your mind, your body, your imagination, everything grows. It's wow. While you're slaying dragons, I'll be taming them.